How do you get your ex to commit to you again? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, and watch through to the end because this is going to be covering some very deep psychological things and some very deep emotional things that could be happening with you and your relationship with your ex. And if you understand how to leverage these things in just the right way, then you are very likely to be successful at getting back together with your ex. If you ignore these things, then you may very well have a very difficult time in this process and come to some sort of conclusion that it's impossible to get back together with your ex. These are all very applicable things that you can do. So don't feel as if you need to, write off hope, write off your situation, write off anything yet, because you can do this. I've worked with hundreds of people who have done this. Okay. Hey there, it's Clay with modernlove.life. Okay, so now if you're here watching this video, I don't know how you got here, but a lot of times people will think that in order to get back together with their ex, they just need to have a conversation with them, convince them in some way. And, that is not really the most valuable thing that you can do. That's not really the most effective thing that you can do either. Many times people are looking for a kind of quick fix to this whole breakup or this whole separation or this whole divorce scenario here. And I get it, you're in a lot of pain and you do want to get out of that pain as quickly as possible. However, I also want you to be real here when it comes to this whole situation, when it comes to how to save your relationship. Most likely your relationship didn't come apart because of one argument or one misunderstanding or something like that. It was probably something that built up over time. And so it's going to take more than just one conversation to get that to happen. Now, on this channel, we have been talking about all sorts of things like emotional connection, understanding your ex's 5 stages, and things like that. So we're going to be building off of that. But just know that you have to be able to create the emotional foundation first for you and your partner to be able to have a meaningful and fruitful conversation about getting back together. You have to create this foundation where they can understand and acknowledge and recognize that the two of you do have a deep emotional connection with one another, that they're not walking back into the same troubled relationship that they walked out of in the first place. And then you can leverage that connection to allow them to make the decision for getting back together. So this isn't an ultimatum that you're just going to give them right now today because you broke up, yesterday or something like that. You're probably going to have to put in some amount of effort and energy to get the emotional connection to this point. That's why we've been talking about, again, all of these valuable things on this channel in terms of emotional bonding, connection, understanding their world, etc. But when it comes to all of this, they may very well enjoy the connection that they're having with you. They may very well enjoy the closeness that the two of you are creating with one another. They may very well enjoy the memories that you are building, but they may still have a hard time making that decision to get back together. And this is where everything really starts to get real here. We've been talking about emotional connection. We've talked about that many times on this channel. And so this is not just something that you can do. This is not just a bunch of, techniques and one-liners and clever things to say that you can memorize and speak to them. And then they're going to get over the hump, because very often there's going to come a place in time on those 5 stages where they go through those 5 stages and they eventually hit this place called crisis point. And at this crisis point, they are then confronted with the very real possibility of what it means for the two of you to get back together. That is to say, up until they've hit this crisis point, they have just been sort of intellectually entertaining the idea of connecting with you, spending time with you, etc. What is it like for us to spend time together? Are you still going to be the same person that I broke up with? Are we going to get along well? Are we going to be able to have a good time? Are we going to, have a bad time and it's going to reaffirm to me that I made the right choice by breaking up, etc. But at that crisis point and thereafter, they start to think, okay, I get it. I actually do have very real and very tangible feelings for you. I can't deny this any longer. Now, what does that mean? And this can be a very scary time for them because now they have to make a real decision about what they want to do. Are they going to get back together with you, or are they going to stay in their mindset of being broken up? Many times people will try to avoid making this choice because when things start to become real and you have to make real life changes in order to make things happen, that can be kind of scary. You know, if you're in a rebound relationship, you have to actually end the rebound relationship, which takes a certain amount of faith in the relationship that they have with you. It takes a certain amount of faith in, making these big changes. Perhaps you might end that relationship, and then if things don't work out with you, then they might feel silly, right? They might say, okay, I'm just this hot mess, right? I broke up with you, got together with someone else, broke up with that person, got back together with my ex, and then things aren't working. I'm just a hot mess, right? Nobody wants to do that. Additionally, if they told their friends and family that the two of you broke up and that, they don't like you anymore, now the friends and family hate you, it's going to take a lot of courage and a lot of trust in the relationship for them to go back to those same friends and family and say, hey, I was wrong. They're actually a good person, and we're seeing each other again, and we're back together again. They're not going to want to do any of these things unless they are absolutely certain that this is the right choice for them. So they're going to be facing this heavy amount of resistance from taking this chance. If they had the choice, they would like to avoid taking this chance altogether. And so they're going to be at this crisis point where they are going to resist making any moves. In fact, they may actually discourage you from trying to get back together with them or from seeing them as a romantic prospect, because if you are out of the picture, if you say, yeah, you're right, I do deserve better. Yeah, you're right, I should date someone else. Yeah, you're right, I could get with someone more attractive or something like that, then the pressure is off of them to make that critical choice. They are going to be looking for any possible way to avoid making this choice. And what is important is that you continue to keep this positive pressure on them, to keep showing up in your way of being and allowing them to see that there is a real, enjoyable, positive future for the two of you together. They have to be able to see this, and they have to be able to connect the dots so that they can stay in this uncomfortable place to the point where they can consciously make this decision themselves to choose to get back together with you. They have to make this decision themselves to choose to get back together with you. Now, don't get me wrong. When you are at this place, you can and probably should put on some positive pressure by, letting them know in one way or other that, hey, I can't keep this situation going forever. Eventually I probably would want to start seeing someone or dating someone or whatever. I mean, we can talk about the specifics about that some other time, but you probably will need to put some positive pressure on them to kind of push them gently past that point of discomfort where they must make a decision, where they must choose. Are they going to get back together with you, or are they going to remain broken up with you? This is where they get to reveal their character. But because you've put in all of this underlying work to build the emotional connection, to understand their emotional world and all these sorts of things, they are much more likely to choose to be with you because you are leveraging this connection to encourage them to make a choice that they probably already want to make. Now, this is where this comes in with all the way of being stuff. You can't just fake this by memorizing some clever lines and some clever things, even clever things that, you might learn on videos from me. This has to be a deep, fundamental change all the way down, because if you are just masking insecurity or masking fear or masking limiting beliefs by trying to put on a performance of some sort, by saying, I have to make it look like I'm indifferent, or I have to make it look like I'm hard to get, or I have to, play these mind games, or I have to memorize these certain lines, or I have to have 101 comebacks for 101 different situations or something like that. Then this is where they are going to find the places where this is all just a performance piece, where this is all just an act, a gimmick, a stunt that you're putting on. And that's why the way of being work is so critical. They need to see you as the genuine, authentic, heart-centered person that you are, who's ready to invite them into a new, loving dynamic where the two of you can go on and live an amazing love story together. And this is how you show up. This is the energy that you bring. This is your way of being. This isn't just a memorized set of one-liners and scripts and canned routines, etc. This is something that is legit. This is where you are going to get all sorts of, unanticipated kinds of behaviors from them. If you are just trying to memorize things, if you are just trying to, plan 8, 5, 10 steps ahead in order to figure out what to say in this situation, how to respond in that situation, etc., this is where you're going to struggle, because you're going to get caught off guard. They're going to find little holes in your way of being. They're going to find places where you're fearful, places where you're insecure, places where the limiting beliefs are still there, places where you're still not the same person that they want to be in a relationship with, ways where you're still that same person that they broke up with. And that is where they get to get off the hook, which is why it's so important to not only understand the connection, understand their emotional world, but to really come across as a genuine, heartfelt, heart-centered person who has that spaciousness, who has the energy of, I can take it however you choose to show up, whether you are afraid, whether you are anxious, whether you are wanting to connect, whether you're uncertain, whether you're confused, all of these sorts of things. And if you can bring that energy to it, then you have a real and very strong possibility of keeping them in that difficult choice where they have to struggle with this, where they have to realize, hey, I actually do want to get back together with you, and I have to do something about it. And if you put a little bit of positive pressure on it by letting them know that you're not going to be there forever, then they are very, very likely to get over that hump and do things to move the two of you closer together. Now, if you do want to know how to do all of these things and more, then something that would be really helpful for you is our course where we talk about how to build the emotional connection, how to understand their emotional world, and more importantly, how to come across with this kind of energy that's genuine and authentic and goes beyond just memorized canned routines and scripts and one-liners and comebacks and all these other sorts of BS mind game kinds of things out there and performance pieces that you may have heard out there. This has to come from your heart. This has to be genuine and authentic. And if that's something that you do want, I'd like to invite you to join us in our course. You can find a link for it down below in the description box. But, we're going to help you to get everything in line just right to create the perfect conditions for you to have that kind of relationship where you can get them to want to be back together with you again. This isn't just a matter of having one quick conversation or anything like that, but this is a matter of truly transforming yourself, truly transforming the dynamic between the two of you, and slowly guiding them through this journey of trust to actually see a positive future with you. And if that is the game that you're willing to play, you don't just want quick little, one-liners and comebacks and text message templates and stuff like that, then I'd like to formally invite you to join us. All you have to do is just click that link down below and you can see if it sounds like a good fit for you. If it does sound like a good fit for you, then, hey, it's probably great and we should work together. But if it's not, that's okay. There's a lot more videos on this channel. There's a lot more valuable things that you can use, but I think that it probably would be worth checking out below. It's helped a lot of people over these past several years that we've been, teaching this sort of stuff, and it very well may help you as well too. A lot of people that we have worked with have gone on to reconcile with their partners, and they've gone through this exact same course or some earlier version of this course. So if that sounds like something that you'd like to do, then go ahead and check out that link down below. But once again, thank you so much. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.